Okay, you're going to want to pay attention to this because some huge news just landed that could seriously shake up South Africa's entire tech scene. A massive new investment has just been announced, and it's all about fueling the country's next generation of innovators.
And here it is. This is the number that's got everyone talking. 500 million rand. That's how much Hlayisani Capital has just raised for its new venture fund. It's an incredible amount of money, and every single cent is headed towards backing high-growth South African tech companies.
So what's the plan for this R500 million? Well, it's for something called Hlayisani Venture Fund II, and its mission is pretty simple. Find and fund the most promising tech companies in South Africa. We're talking game changers in AI, fintech, and health tech. You know, the kind of businesses that could become the next big household names.
But look, this fund isn't just about throwing a bunch of cash at some cool new apps. No, it's actually been designed to solve a very specific, very frustrating problem that's been holding back so many great companies for years. It's all about the scaling problem.
So that's the big question, right? What exactly is this problem that needs R500 million to fix? Well, it turns out there's this infamous gap in the journey of a startup, a place where so many of them just get completely stuck.
And to get what that gap is, we need to talk about Series A funding. So here's the deal. After a startup gets its first bit of seed money to get off the ground and prove their idea actually works, Series A is the first big check they need to actually scale up, to hire a real team, market their product, and start growing fast.
And that right there, that's the heart of the problem. For a long time in South Africa, so many brilliant startups would get off to a great start. They'd prove their idea works, they'd get customers, they'd have momentum, and then, bam, they'd hit a wall. They just couldn't find that big Series A investment to go from being a promising small company to a major force.
Think of it like this. Here's the typical journey. You get seed funding to start. Your goal is to get all the way over here to growth and scale, but sitting right in the middle is this massive hurdle, the Series A gap. It's like a missing bridge that stops these amazing companies from getting to the other side. This new fund? It's literally being built to be that bridge.
So who are the ones actually building this bridge? Who's putting up the cash to finally solve this big structural problem?
Well, the whole thing is managed by Hlayisani Capital, but the investors are a really powerful group. You've got the SA SME Fund, a bunch of private investors, but the real headliner, the one you need to know, is the Public Investment Corporation, or as everyone calls them, the PIC.
Yeah, having the PIC on board as a major investor, that's a massive deal. It's a real game changer for the local tech scene, and it sends an incredibly powerful message.
And here's why it matters so much. When an institution as huge as the PIC gets involved, it signals that the big mainstream money is finally taking local tech startups seriously as a top-tier investment. And believe me, that hasn't always been the case.
Just to give you a sense of how big the PIC actually is, try to wrap your head around this number. They manage 2 trillion rand in assets. It's a figure so large, it's almost hard to comprehend. But here's the most important part. Where does that R2 trillion come from? It's mostly from South African pension funds. We're talking about the retirement savings of government employees, of public servants. So this isn't just some faceless corporate money. It's the nation's own savings betting on its own innovators.
So let's zoom out for a second, because this is about so much more than just a big check. What does this really mean for the future of tech and innovation in South Africa?
Well, for starters, it completely flips the script. For years, if a South African startup really wanted to get big, they almost always had to go looking for money overseas. This fund is helping to build a future where our own local institutions are providing that fuel, creating a much more self-sufficient and robust tech economy right here at home.
So when you put it all together, the impact is huge. First off, it's a massive vote of confidence in our local talent. Second, as we said, it helps build that self-reliant economy. And what's more, it's on track to become one of the biggest Series A funds in the country, focused specifically on those critical sectors that are going to define the future.
And this isn't just a plan for the future, by the way. The money is already being put to work. Hlayisani has already invested in 3 companies. A great example is Tractor Outdoor Media. They're using the cash to expand their digital advertising network across the country. So you can see, the fund is already making a real, tangible impact. Which brings us to this final thought. For years, the big problem was that missing bridge over the Series A gap. Well, that bridge is now being built, and it's being built with local money and local confidence. So the question isn't if we can fund our own success anymore. The real question is, who's going to be the next great South African tech company to walk across it?